This video is sponsored by Surfshark, the best VPN on the market. Surfshark is an app or browser extension that allows you to change your location to access websites in other countries and keep you safe from hackers. For example, we here in Ireland can access other countries' Netflix libraries, streaming services such as DAZN in Spain for those all-important Premier League games. Surfshark keeps you safe and private by protecting everything you do online. When your device connects to the internet, all that information is, in a way, blurred out. Surfshark is particularly useful for keeping you safe if you use public Wi-Fi, such as a college or a cafe. Surfshark allows you to use one subscription on unlimited devices, meaning that you can even share an account with friends and family. On top of this, Surfshark offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you don't like it, you can even get your money back. Our sign-up offer gives you Surfshark VPN for just over €2 per month and up to 4 months free. Why not scan the QR code on screen or use the link in the description to take advantage of this offer. What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to Thursday night's late night agenda, where the news, of course, just keeps on coming for the Reds. Tonight we're going to be speaking about Darwin Nunez. Of course, we're going to be trying to figure out when the Florian Wirtz medical is going to take place. We're going to have a little bit around some other potential exits from the club, but as always, we want to know your thoughts on all these subjects, so please do feel free to let us know in the comments. And again, thank you for giving up some of your Thursday evening to come and have a chat with me. Look, it is the saga that just keeps on dragging out a little bit, doesn't it? The whole situation with Florian Wirtz, bit of a battle of the journalists going on. What we do know is we've nothing to be concerned about, and he's going to be a Liverpool player. What is missing? Yes, there is stuff missing, but I don't know why the sub count is missing. Mark loves to distract me as soon as I start to stream with messages. As soon as I'm doing the intro, there we go. 1 sec, let me bear with me. Get this news open. Let me drag this down, see if that works. Yeah, let me just have a quick message with Connor and we'll have a go with that then. So Connor, the sub count's missing and the date's missing. There you go. Thanks for that, Mark. Cheers. Couldn't let me do the intro now. Had to distract me. Appreciate you. Right, ladies and gents, let's get into the chat anyway and see how we're all feeling. We'll figure out that stuff in the background soon. Don't worry about that. Right. Romano said on live he's still saying deal done for Wirtz. Wirtz on holiday. When he returns, we'll see movement. Well, it looks like some dates are starting to come into fruition, my man. Looks like some dates are starting to come in. Some people saying Sunday, Monday, and then Thursday, Friday, but not specifying which deals they're talking about in each one. So yeah, I'm intrigued, mate. I'm intrigued to see what that is. Look, there's no problems with it. It's going to happen. He is going to be a Liverpool player, like we said. But we all want to see those images of him coming in to do the medical. Getting worried with the amount of homegrown linked away. I don't think you need to be worried. We need to keep an eye on it. You're absolutely spot on, Donna. But with regards to being concerned or anything, yeah, Stream Elements is down. That's what's going on with that, Mark. So yeah, yay. Thanks for all these companies that you pay the money to and they're not working. So anyway, we'll sort it out in the background. But for now, let's just keep talking. Yeah, you have to keep an eye on it, definitely, but I wouldn't be worried about it. You know, Liverpool will know what they need to do with regards to the homegrown quota and whatnot. And look, technically, only one has left the club for now, Donna, and I get where you're coming from, though. We do need to keep an eye on it, but only one has gone out the door as we speak, and that's, of course, Queevy and Kelleher. And we've brought one back in Jeremy Frimpong, so 1 in, 1 out so far, but we do need to keep an eye on it, certainly. Right, are we signing a striker? Well, Ian, it's funny that you mentioned that, bro, because lots of chatter about potential options there. And one option that stood out to me came from a piece that I read in the Echo of all places. And I must state that this was an opinion piece. I don't want to try and land anybody in hot water or anything like that. But the opinion piece that I'd read in the Echo is very interesting. And let me take you through why. So apparently John Duran hasn't settled over in Saudi Arabia. And according to Saudi Arabian sports channel, Al Ridaiya, I think it's pronounced, Alriydiyah, Al Nassr striker John Duran may be looking for a temporary means of escape from the Gulf state ahead of the new season. They cite personal difficulties that have impacted his mental well-being and by extension his form. So we asked this of our WhatsApp group earlier on. We put up a poll asking, would you take John Duran at Liverpool on loan for the season if it became an option? Now remember, Liverpool have other irons in the fire. Of course, we're keeping an eye on Hugo Ekitike. The situation with Alexander Isak doesn't seem to be going away. But I'd be a liar, like I've said, if I told you I know who the targets are. But for the first poll of the night, I want to repeat the poll that we put into our WhatsApp channel. Now, if you're in the WhatsApp channel, welcome and thank you for being in there. We've got nearly 4,500 people in it already. But I want to ask you guys on this, on John Duran. Would you take him as a loan with let's give you some different options on it. We'll give you some options on the loan and then we'll get back into the chat. And don't worry, we have plenty of news to get through tonight, folks. Right. So, would you take John Duran on loan? Right, so we'll go with the straightforward no. We'll go with yes. With, let's go that one. Yes. With option to buy. Or what's the last one we'll go with? Or yes, just a straight loan. Cool. I don't know why I'm writing just. Okay, so there we go. Right, so would you take John Duran on loan? No, yes, with an option to buy, or yes, just a straight loan. So 3 options there for you. If you'd say no, just click no. If you like the idea of him with an option or an obligation to buy, click that one. And if you like it just a straight loan, click that one. I think it would be an interesting one, but it would certainly be one that I would imagine Liverpool don't push for or look towards until we see what the lay of the land is with other strikers. Now, I don't know if you call this breaking story or not, but one thing that we did just post is Romano saying a decision has been made. Darwin Nunez will leave Liverpool this summer. Now, I don't think that's going to be earth-shattering breaking news to anybody, but it is, again, a confirmation of what we've been saying all the way through, that Darwin will leave Liverpool this summer. Who his replacement is going to be, like I've always been honest with you and said, I don't know, but it looks like we're getting to a point now where the options for Darwin are starting to become a little bit clear. So a couple of options in Italy. AC Milan have been asked to be kept informed on the situation. We know Napoli were interested as well, and of course Atletico Madrid are another club. I know you don't like talking about him, but Trent speaking Spanish pissed me right off. Been practicing all year. It kind of backs up what Paddy Pimblett said, isn't it? That he's been... Look, I said one thing consistently throughout the whole process with Trent, and that was that I don't believe for 1 second that it's taken him that long to come to a decision on what he wanted to do and that his mind was made up for a long time. Seeing the Spanish speaking today just kind of confirmed what many of us had felt. But look, ultimately, like I've said, not our player anymore. Let him go on with his career over there in Madrid. But yeah, it certainly wasn't lost on me that he spoke fluent Spanish there today. And again, kind of backs up what Paddy Pimblett had been saying, that he's been learning Spanish for a very long time. So, you know, people might think, well, look, he just learned a little bit in the past few months. But again, look into how long the average human being takes to learn a language, to speak it that fluently. And it's not done in a month or two. Red Hot Frank, sorry, I was trying to read through the name there, my man. Hey Craig, how do you feel about the idea of Kwanzaa going on loan? The only reason I ask is because of how Saliba loan coming back. So a couple of people have suggested that to me, and normally, Frank, I'm not big on loans, especially when we'd have to bring in a replacement. So sending Saliba out on loan, it certainly did have a good outcome for Arsenal, because he's come back a much more well-rounded, improved player. So it's certainly not out in the realms of possibility, and you know, other people would say probably a good suggestion, but I think it leaves us in a little bit of no man's land then with regards to bringing in another centre-back. So if you loan somebody out, you don't really want to bring in a full-time replacement, and we do need to have a replacement. So that's the sticking point for me with it, Frank. But again, it's not the worst suggestion in the world, my man. Also, him saying it was a dream come true, like playing for a boyhood club. Yeah, like he said also, I seen them win 3 back-to-back Champions League. Yeah, yes, because you were on the fucking pitch for one of them, mate. But either way, look, I don't... Everybody's free to put in whatever they want in the comments about the situation with Trent. I just don't really want to talk about him anymore, because if I talk about him, I'm probably not going to have very many good things to say about him. So I would rather just bite my tongue and say nothing than add to any toxicity or anything like that. Where are we at? Yeah, this one, sorry. David Mooney, nice to see you in, bro. How are we? Raging Cajun, I love that name. Just reminds me of the political genius over in America. Right, Raging Cajun said, hey Craig, did you see when Trent said, I've been waiting for this day a long time, then corrected himself with, I mean weeks, not years. Look, mate, I know everybody wants to think the best of human beings, and people don't like it when I come out with the blunt stuff that I do. But I know human nature, and the reason I know human nature is because I've spent my whole life mimicking and looking at people and learning how to behave, because I've always been wired a bit differently. And looking at the situation with Trent, not one part of me believed that he made that decision in the time frame that he's trying to make everybody believe he made it in. I fully believe this decision was done a long time ago. Like Paddy Pimblett said, I agree. It looks like he's been learning Spanish for a very long time as well. And it looks like he never had any intention of signing on. But there are still people that want to hold hands, stand in a circle, sing Kumbaya, and pretend that everything's great in the world and all their heroes are absolutely impeccable. It's not really the case, like I've said. PR, whoever's dealt with his PR in this has massively, massively got it wrong, and they should be sacked. But I'm just glad that today is hopefully the last time that we really have to think and talk about him. You know, it's not anything to do with us anymore unless we play against Madrid. So I understand and empathise what everybody said, and certainly felt like the final slap in the face. But you know, what also really annoyed me actually about that presentation was something not really specifically to do with Trent, but Perez saying, our dear friends Liverpool. Friends? Really? Okay. LFC, Luke Caulfield said, these streams have turned into a daily thing for me last 2-3 weeks. Keep up the good work, bro. Appreciate you. Been a daily thing for me now for 7-8 years, but glad you're here with us, my man. Appreciate your support. Right, let's check in on our poll and see what people think about John Duran, and then I'll have a run through some of the news for you. Would you take John Duran on loan? Are the options? No, I wouldn't. Yes, but with an option to buy. Yes, with a straight loan. Do vote on that, and we'll visit it in a minute. And again, if you're in our WhatsApp, you've already voted in there probably as well, so thank you for that. Mitchell said, Trent is a rat/snake, same as Pep. When I see status saying about him, my answer is who he is. Look, like I've said, I'm an adult, and I realise that the PR stuff that comes out is nonsense a lot of the time. And I also realise that everybody takes words that people say as gospel and not just as what people want to hear. I'm always a bit more cynical on these type of things, so I always had the feeling, and I always spoke about it, that he'd made his mind up and he was off. You know, but as I said, I'm not here to tell everybody else how to feel. I can only ever tell you my own opinion on it. Right, so let's get stuck into some of the news. Let's talk about what is clearly a massive hint that Milos Kerkez has sent. Do I believe for 1 second that he's just posting a picture of him in front of a pool? No. No, I don't. Because I didn't believe it when Florian Wirtz did it, and I believe that this is just a mimicking of him basically letting it be known he's coming to Liverpool. You may think differently, and again, absolutely, but I fully have my tinfoil hat on for this one, and I definitely believe that Milos Kerkez posting that image of him by a pool is no accident, and it is a very similar post if you look to Florian Wirtz one, which also indicated, guess what? A move to Liverpool. So yeah, that's what I think about it. Maybe you guys think differently. Let me know in the chat one way or the other. Mukarab said, Craig, any news on players we keep loaning being sold? Again, mate, there's a lot to get through in this window, and Liverpool are going to be very, very busy. Tyler Morton will be sold this summer. I can't speak to some of the other fringe players. I don't know what's happening with Kumas as an example. I would imagine it'll be a loan again for Jayden Downs because the last one didn't really go to plan with the injury. But look, I don't like holding players' careers up. I don't like any football club just constantly loaning out players. Make a decision on them. They're either going to be good enough for you or they're not. And Ben Doak is going to be a good example of this. So we need to sell Ben Doak if Liverpool don't think he's going to get a chance. And it doesn't look like he's going to get a chance. So, yeah, we're going to have to wait and see. So that's why Trent hired the Spanish pool boy. I can't speak to that, mate. I can't speak to that at all. I did check, though, and the pregnancy rates in Madrid are nothing spectacular. You know, one of the lower pregnancy rates over there. So, you know, don't know if he took that into account. So impressed Trent learned Spanish so quickly. Yeah. Real quick that. Yeah, genius stuff. Duolingo on the go non-stop. Right, let's talk about a bit of saltiness here. And it comes from Bayern Munich and Max Erbel. And I do love the Bayern Munich saltiness around Florian Wirtz, by the way. Just keep it coming, please. Between their fans and their own staff, they really are just making this extremely enjoyable for me as a Liverpool fan. So Max Erbel, speaking on Florian Wirtz's rejection, said this: "If I'm honest, I don't know if we could have counted on what Liverpool are apparently paying now." Yeah, who are you trying to kid, Max? You're just salty because he chose to come to Liverpool and didn't want to go to Bayern Munich because you shit the bed. But there you go. Some statistics, by the way, around our two creative midfielders that are now in the squad. So last season we had Dominik Szoboszlai do 17 goals and assists in 49 games. But if you look at Florian Wirtz's numbers, 31 goals and assists in 45 games last season. So hopefully that will spark a little bit more firepower for the Reds. There we go. Connor's fixed the background on the stream element stuff and that. Happy days. Yeah, I've noticed that because that's actually not the right sub count either. But appreciate that, Connor. Right, where are we at? Let me get back into some of your comments. Let's see what we got. Reece Williams gone too, said Luke. I would imagine so. He should be gone. Let's be honest about it. He's not going to make it at Liverpool, so he should be gone. I think his contract is up, if my memory's right, actually. I think Nat Phillips and Reece Williams' contracts are up on the last day of June. But, you know, feel free to correct me on that if I'm wrong. Elliott scored 20 minutes ago. Nice. Well done to him. Playing for England under 21s today. Fair play. Good to see that. So, shall we give each other a laugh for a minute, folks? Now, whoever you're tuning in or wherever you're tuning in from, this has got to make you laugh, right? You ready? Manchester United have officially entered the race to sign Hugo Ekitike from Eintracht Frankfurt. Contact has been made in the last 48 hours, and the interest is concrete. So, tell us again, Jim, that you've got no money. Why were you sacking all the hard work and staff and taking away the cup final tickets and all the other snidey, shitty little things that you did, Sir Jim Radcliffe? United trying to get in for Hugo Ekitike. Hand on heart, why would he leave Eintracht Frankfurt to go play for United at the minute? Genuinely. He's got a team in the Champions League in Eintracht Frankfurt. He's got two teams that are at least interested in him in the Champions League from Liverpool and Chelsea. What on earth would make United think that they're going to be able to convince Hugo Ekitike to leave Frankfurt for Old Trafford? Plus the fact that, as well, the price tag is non-negotiable according to Frankfurt. €100 million, £85 million or no dice. So, yeah, let's wait and see how that one pans out. But come on now. Come on. That's like me saying I'm going to rival whoever Mila Kunis's husband is for her loving arms. I don't know. And yes, Thomas Frank's also now being confirmed as the new Spurs coach. That was confirmed about an hour ago or so. So he is now officially Spurs' new head coach. Right, where are we at? Which way have we gone? This one or that one? Done that one. Thank you. Appreciate that. Andy Ellison, much love, my man. 40-year-old Virgil said, so that's why Trent hired the Spanish pool boy. So impressed with Trent. We've done that one. Teenage Scaper said, do you think Wirtz in the team will attract other players? Absolutely. Like, Imagine now, just as an example, imagine you're Alexander Isak and you're sitting at home thinking, right, well, Liverpool may make a move for me. I'm in a club that are in the Champions League. I'm liked here, but imagine having Wirtz in behind you feeding you through balls. Come on now. That'd have to tickle the old you-know-whats. So, yeah, I think it will attract players, mate, definitely. Hopefully we can get DURAN, said Jack Quinn. Look, as I said, credit, it was an opinion piece on the Echo, so they certainly weren't trying to state this as a fact or anything, but it looks like he may be leaving Saudi Arabia anyway. So if Liverpool can't get a striker that they're 100% convinced the money is worth, I think trying to get John DURAN on loan for a year would be a very clever thing to do. Will you have Diogo Jota there? Will you keep an eye on the situation with Jadon Danns and his progression? I think it would certainly be better than spunking a load of money on somebody who the club aren't 100% convinced is going to be the guy. That would be decent for me anyway, but, you know, as I said, I'm just giving you my opinion on it. Right, we've had over 2,000 votes, so let's call it on the poll. 50% of people said yes, they would be happy with a loan with an obligation to buy. 35% of people said absolutely no, they don't want John DURAN. And then the remaining 14% said yes, but just a straight loan. I would rather Liverpool loaned him in than bought somebody that they weren't 100% convinced with. You know, because we are going to sell Darwin Nunez. That is going to happen. So for me, the question after that is, do you go and spend the money on somebody you want to bring in? If you can, yeah, absolutely, that would be the answer. But if not, we keep our powder dry. It would allow us to see Danns. It'd be another year closer to young Rio coming into the attack as well. I just think it wouldn't be the most ridiculous thing in the world. You know, he certainly showed good form when he was at Aston Villa and in the Champions League as well. And it seems to be a lot of young players just can't settle. Gabby Veiga coming back as well. He's going to Porto, I think. So some of these younger players that are over there in Saudi, maybe they're not really enjoying the situation as much. Rain, how are you? When the lies are so transparent, isn't the best PR honesty? Strangest part of footy for me. Keep it up, Craig. Your honesty is always appreciated. It is. And what also gets me, Rain, is that people believe anything a football club says. Like, it could be raining outside and a football club would come in and go, good weather today, lads, isn't it? And then, yeah. We can't take anything everyone says as gospel. Ultimately, people are inherently selfish and they look after their own interests. So, yeah, it's the whole thing was horrendous PR for me and whoever. And like you said, man, be upfront and honest about it and people would deal with it differently. Just say, I wanted a change. Just say, I couldn't turn this opportunity down. I think people would have been far more understanding of it, but he chose his path and the rest is history. He can't be any worse than Darwin, said John Doe Gerard. Yeah, it's look, I would rather we did that than spunked a load of dough on somebody we weren't happy with. But let's say Liverpool do have a target, then I want them to go get that target, you know? I just wonder if maybe they're waiting around to see. But like I said, just a jumping off point for tonight's stream, not really trying to say it's a hard and fast move that's definitely going to happen or anything. Paul Beer said, Ekitike is valued too much, not worth it. Well, let's ask that question, sir, because I think it's a very fair one. So, is Hugo... I think we've done this one before, by the way, but let's just do it again for shits and giggles. Which one? What do I do? It's this one, isn't it? Nope, it's that one. There we go. So, is Hugo... I suppose I better put a surname in just in case people get confused. Is Hugo Ekitike worth €100 million or £85 million? For me, the answer is categorically no. He isn't. I'm not saying he's not a good footballer. I'm not saying he wouldn't be good enough to come to Liverpool. But what I'm saying is, I think that valuation is about £20 million too high, in my eyes. I don't see a €100 million striker based off the sample size we have in Eintracht Frankfurt. Because remember, it didn't work out with PSG. And he's gone to Frankfurt, done very, very well. But you have to keep in mind, they only paid about 13 million for him. 1-3. So this 100 million valuation, it just seems too high for me. And I'd be amazed if Liverpool paid it. I could see a world where Chelsea pay it, but not us. I just can't see it happening at that amount. Isn't Hugo a United fan? I don't know, but it honestly doesn't matter at this point. Like, the football is littered with people who fathers, brothers, sisters, or they support different teams. It doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things. If you're looking at your career, you're going to go where the best option is for enhancing that career, for bringing you silverware, because you've only got one career. You'll always have your football club that you can support in the back of your mind for the rest of your life, but your career goals have to be realistically matched up with what's in front of you there. And United are, well, not very good at the minute. Craig, will Adidas be on our kits this season? Yes. So for anyone that doesn't know, it'll be the 1st of August when Liverpool officially unveil themselves with the Adidas stuff. I'm sure we'll probably get a pre-sale before that or whatever, but for some strange reason, I think it was to do with the court case from New Balance to Nike, the contract with Nike runs until the end of July. Now, obviously, Nike would have wanted to see Liverpool lift the league title and all in their kits this season. Totally fine with that. But I think we're going to see a situation where maybe we don't see a number for Frimpong or Wirtz or anybody until the 1st of August. Then, with the Adidas stuff, they'll release the new stuff with the numbers. That's my guess on it anyway. But 1st of August is when you'll see Liverpool wearing Adidas stuff. Thoughts on our new assistant manager? Yeah, was just going to run into that one. Has he? I don't think he's been confirmed yet, but certainly Paul Joyce said it's getting closer, and I'll move on to that one in a second. Need to tear down that mural ASAP. Not my place to say. I'll leave that to our Scouts brothers and sisters to figure out what they want or think needs to happen with that mural. Right, let's talk about what Paul Joyce has posted, which is that, where is this one? Where is it gone? I want to give him his... Giovanni van Bronckhorst is close to joining Liverpool's coaching setup. Would replace Johnny Heidinga on Arne Slot's coaching staff. So, I'm sure most of you guys know who Giovanni van Bronckhorst is. But if you don't, Dutch, I think played with Arsenal, if my memory's right, as well as going playing with Rangers. So yeah, it looks like it will be another Dutch assistant coach coming in, and Giovanni van Bronckhorst, according to Paul Joyce and a few other journalists today, is the one leading the race and most likely to come in as another assistant to Arne Slot, along with Sipke Hulshoff, of course. You all said the same thing about Isak many years ago. Did we? And you know this because you know us all, dickhead, do you? I love smart arses like you who come in just to try to belittle other people. Did we? Well, show us the proof of us all, mate. There's 4,076 people in the chat, dickhead. So show us the proof of us all saying the same about Isak many years ago. Because, like most trolls on this channel, sir, you're full of shit. Grow up. Seriously. And is it not okay for people to be unsure about a player at one point or another? You know, if it was so obvious that Isak was going to become the superstar he is, why didn't everybody kick the door down for him? You know, much like Yamal would do. So I think it's fair to say you want to see a player develop and play in a top league before moving across. And that's exactly what Liverpool tend to do with players. They want to make sure they're playing in a decent top 5 league beforehand. But there's always some little no-mark fucking smart arse in the chat that likes to come in and pretend that they're better than everybody else. You're not. You're just another know-all who knows fuck all. Now shut up and let the adults talk. Let's move on to speak a little bit about Luis Diaz. Right. This piece coming from Sport, which is a very Barcelona-friendly publication, said Liverpool are now open to negotiations over the sale of Luis Diaz. The English club make it clear that he won't be a starter with the signing of Wirtz and the more likely addition of Isak or Barcola, because we will talk about that one in a little bit. But one thing that they're getting very, very much wrong here is that Barcelona will not go past 60 million euro to sign Luis Diaz from Liverpool. Well then, that's the end of that conversation, because I can tell you one thing, Mr. Laporta or anybody else looking from Barcelona, you ain't getting Luis Diaz for about £50 million. or 60 million euro. So if that's the highest price, then stop wasting everybody's time and just toddle off and go back to do whatever you want to do. But not a hope in hell Liverpool sell Luis Diaz for that money. Not a chance in hell. You're going to have to go up to at least 70, 75 million euro to even get into the conversation of Diaz. So again, Spanish propaganda papers out there putting out all the Spanish clubs bidding and doing their work for them, but you're wasting your time because there's no way Liverpool sell Diaz for that price. Liverpool are in no rush to sell Diaz, full stop, and it would have to be a deal that worked for the club and, of course, for Diaz, but 60 million euro ain't going to do it. Yeah, Ali, I was speaking about that, my friend, earlier on. Did you see Florentino Perez call us their dear friends? Yeah, certainly I don't have that feeling, bro, do you? I don't know many Liverpool fans who would think of Real Madrid as our dear friends. But, you know, each to their own and all that, mate. Rakesh said, I love how you shut them down. This is what I was saying to you yesterday. Look, mate, I'm very simple about things in here. You come in, we're all on the same level. I'm not above you. You're not below me. We're all on the same level. And I don't have time for people who want to come in to belittle other people and try to make themselves sound like a genius. They're not. They just want to make a blasé statement to try and big up themselves when literally nothing they said there was true, because it's just waffle. It's just another dickhead that goes on the internet to try and belittle people. I don't have time for them. Genuine hate for Real these days, said Lee Cole. Lee, bro, I'm with you. Despise them, fed up with them, sick of them. Actually started to have a major dislike now for Bayern Munich as well, because I never bothered with Bayern Munich, but the saltiness from their fans and their board has been a thing of joy to look at over the last few days. Kim Min-jae as that third centre-back replacement. No. Is that the guy that went to PSG? Not good enough. If I'm thinking of the same guy, not good enough. The guy who was at Napoli, yeah, he was nicknamed the Monster. No, not for me, mate. I just don't think he'd be a good fit, but just my opinion. Phil, love you, bro. Thank you, Phil Dwyer. You're very kind. Look, I'm big on respect, mate. I'll give it to anybody who comes in and shows it to everybody else in the chat, but you're not coming in here to shit all over my community, and I'm not going to sit here and look at it. So I always got your back, Phil, and I know you guys have mine as well. Right, let's get moving with Romano, who, look, I think he's using a little bit of a poetic license here. So he said, I said and I maintain that all agreements are done. I never said he was doing a medical or flying yet, as Wirtz is on holiday now. Enjoy. Kinda did, though. Kinda did, Fab, a little bit. You did say medical and paperwork next. Didn't say anything about the player going off on a holiday or there being a break in between this email and the agreement. So I can understand why people are certainly feeling that he jumped the gun, because it looks like David Ornstein and those on the Dweeb squad as well have said that, yeah, it looks like the agreement's going to be there, all right, but certainly no medical. I mean, Sasha Cavalieri was telling us he was going to be on a plane in a few hours, and that's not true either. So, look, it looks like the agreements are there and the deal will be done and he will be a Liverpool player soon. Some reports now suggesting Liverpool are preparing for one deal and some PR stuff Sunday, Monday, and then another one Thursday, Friday. Again, take it with a pinch of salt, but Sicily Bambolina said FC Bayern are not used to not getting what they want. I know, and that's why I like it so much, my friend. I hate anybody that thinks they're too good to be turned down. You know, Real Madrid have that vibe as well. And I also have been really enjoying the Manchester City copium with the amount of backtracking about their own interest. To be fair, though, they did call this and say, watch the clubs now start to distance themselves away from having a serious interest in Florian Wirtz. Raphael Honigstein, by the way, seems to be the first one that mentioned the Wirtz holiday. Anfield Sector, credit down for the post, said, Florian Wirtz is on holiday, but he will join Liverpool. There's going to be a slight difference in reporting. Liverpool sources will say the deal is cheaper. Leverkusen sources will say it's more expensive. And that was Raphael Honigstein speaking with CBS or on CBS yesterday. So it's certainly going to be an interesting one to see. I think the one question I would have is it going to be a British transfer record or not? I think it is, based off most of the reporting. But it also feels like Liverpool would have rather it wasn't, because there's a bit less pressure on the kid at that point, which I could totally understand as well. We know the clock's not working, mate. Stream Elements is crashed, which are the ones that automatically update our clock is linked to and our sub count is linked to. So yeah, we know the clock's not working, my man. We just put it up there as a placeholder to make it look as it should. But appreciate you looking out as always. Right, let's get to which one are we going to next? This one. I would love Isak at the club, as I'm also Swedish, said Pontus Berlin. Do you know what, mate? I don't have any information on the striker search, like as in inside information. I told you, honestly, I don't know, but it's not going away. The Isak story, even when the media are talking about it, it just isn't going away. Look, let's talk about the post I read out a minute ago saying, where was it? I read you out a post a minute ago speaking about a potential departure from Liverpool. And even in that, they said, I think it was the Diaz Barcelona one actually, where they said basically that Liverpool want Isak and or a wide player in. So all I can say to you is there certainly seems to be some legs left in this Isak story. I don't know if it will end in him coming to Liverpool or not. I really haven't got a clue. But I am intrigued by it because it's still going on and nobody's really been able to fully shut it down yet. Andrew Wright, how are you, my friend? Said, to Diaz's side, he has an agreement with Liverpool for a fee. Does he? Not that I'm aware of. You know, Liverpool have apparently set an asking price of about 85 million euro, which was the number that was apparently being willing to be paid by one of the Saudi clubs. Liverpool aren't going to let him leave for 60 million euro. I just don't see that happening, to be honest. I think Barcelona's number is going to have to be higher. But if they do get to the number, yeah, I do feel like he may move this summer, mate. I think you could be right in that one. Barcola, worth it, Craig. Haven't watched much of him. So it's a weird one on Bradley Barcola. For me, because if you look at his numbers, and if I just pulled up his goals and assists for you, you probably say he's worth it. But if you watch him, I have to say, and I stand over, I don't think he's clinical enough. I don't think he's got enough end product. I know, again, you can pull up his numbers and say to me, Craig, he's got X amount of goals and assists. But when I watch him, and albeit I would say maybe I watched them 10 times last season at most, I always found myself frustrated with the chances he was able to get into the right positions for, but wasted a lot of them. So I would prefer others than him. But I'm sure there are people in the chat who absolutely disagree and think Barcola will be incredible. And I respect that opinion as well. Linked with Barcola, but for me, Doué is better. Oh, he is better, but there's just no hope of getting Doué out, mate. He is absolute superstar of a player. And there's just no hope of getting him out of Paris Saint-Germain. And I understand that entirely from his perspective and from their perspective. Elwin Peter said, company failed upwards and bungled his pitch to Florian Wirtz. Should Bayern look at themselves? Does it show the importance of slot for top talent? Well, it's a really good point that you've raised, Elwin, because Liverpool obviously put on a very good pitch to Florian Wirtz. Manchester City's pitch was apparently also a decent one, but Guardiola not being able to give any guarantees that he will even see out his 2-year contract at City apparently was another sticking point there. And yeah, if Bayern Munich didn't put together a good enough pitch to Florian Wirtz, then fair play to him and his family for sitting down and actually figuring out the ones that look like they've done the most work and can see the pathway for him in the system. So looks like Liverpool played a blinder here, so fair play to whoever put the pitch together, and certainly Arne for being able to convince the player that, you know, he knows how to get the best out of him. It's brilliant. I'm delighted about it. And also, it definitely feels like Bayern took their eye off the ball and let Liverpool come back into this race. Because, even if you asked me a month ago, I would have said he's going to Bayern Munich. 100%. That was the thought process, but fair play. Liverpool were. This is one of them ones that Liverpool were just waiting for the nod, and we actually got the nod from the player, and then bang, with a brilliant pitch. So well done. DURAN, I would love, said Corbyn. I would find it very intriguing for a season with a loan with an option. I would find that really interesting because I don't think we would have been able to get him directly from Villa. And if he hasn't settled over in Saudi and he wants a loan, it gives Liverpool options and it gives Liverpool time. Obviously, if we could get Isak this summer as an example, that would be the way to go. But if Liverpool aren't convinced, Corbyn, like I said, and that's an option, I wouldn't be against it for a season. David, always lovely to see you in, sir. And again, thank you for your kindness towards us and the community. Mitchell, I know he's older, but what about Trippier? No, he's too old, man. Way too old. Yeah, plus we're covered now. We've got Frimpong, we've got Bradley. On the other side, we're going to have Kerkez and we've got Robbo. Actually, a little bit from Andy Robertson today. I'm sure you've seen this, but he was speaking a little bit. Where is this quote here from Andy? Do I have the quote from Robbo here? Yeah, I do. He was speaking about his situation and his contract because it looks like they've started to talk about an extension. He said, we have discussed it. Of course we have. The club have been... We've had good discussions with me and the club, but what the future holds, I'm not sure. All I know is tomorrow I fly off on holiday and it's well needed. Need a rest after a long season, and then I look forward to pre-season. That's all my focus is on. I can't look too far ahead. I've never done that, so I'm not going to start doing it now. I know the position I'm in, and I've only got a year left, and it's getting spoken about. So yes, it's my full focus, is I'm focused on being a dad for the next couple of weeks and enjoying the time with the kids. Then I'll come back in the best possible shape for pre-season, and we'll see what the future holds when these decisions are made. So like I said, I feel like Andy Robertson is going to be playing for his Liverpool future this year, and I think that will bring the best out of him. He's got 1 year to go in his deal. Milos Kerkez is coming in, and Robbo's going to want to prove that he should still be the one in the manager's thoughts for the start of the season. Again, whether he can prove that or not, let's wait and see. Craig, do you think Liverpool will consider selling Curtis Jones? Said Stephen Toner, or Tonner, excuse me if I've mispronounced, sir. There is a piece on that today that kind of caught me off guard because I never ever knew about this before, in all honesty. But I was reading the Mirror earlier on, and let me read you out 2 paragraphs from the Mirror who were talking about ways that Liverpool could make the Wirtz situation a bit more cost effective for Liverpool. And this was one of the options that they put up there. Liverpool could decide to leverage Bayer Leverkusen's long-standing interest in Curtis Jones as a makeweight. The 24-year-old Liverpool Academy graduate has impressed with his dynamism and versatility, catching Leverkusen's eye in the past few months. Including Jones in a deal could significantly reduce Wirtz's eye-watering fee, making the transfer more palatable for Liverpool's accountants and sparing Wirtz the strain of being a record buy. But parting with Jones, a homegrown talent who embodies the club's spirit, would sting supporters and risk weakening the squad depth. I honestly had no idea that Leverkusen were interested or had been keeping an eye on Curtis Jones. Hadn't got a clue. Anybody else know that? Because genuinely I knew that they'd an interest in Elliott. I knew that they had an interest in Jarell Kwanzaa, but genuinely shocked to hear about that interest in Curtis Jones. And here's words I never thought I'd say. I don't think Liverpool should sell. I think we need to have him around. I think he's proved himself this season enough to at least be viewed as a good contributor to the squad. Certainly, I don't think he's the full article, the finished article, but I do think, to give Curtis Jones the credit he's due, this has been his best season in a Liverpool shirt, and under Arne Slot, I think he looks like a better player than he did previously. So we'll move on to that as a poll. Right, so I think we can say that with 87% of the vote, no, Hugo Ekitike is not worth €100 million, according to the Anfield Agenda audience, and I very, very much back that sentiment. So now I'm going to ask you about Curtis Jones. So would you sell Jones to get the Wirtz fee lower? So, would you sell Jones to get the Wirtz fee lower? Would you sell Jones to get the Wirtz fee lower? Yes or no? And we'll come back to this one. This I'm really interested in to see, by the way. Would you sell Jones? Oh, I put the Gert. See, I'm trying a bit of German there for you. To Gert the Wirtz fee. So let's all pretend that I'm not a moron and that I didn't put in another spelling mistake. I wouldn't, for what it's worth. I wouldn't sell him. I wouldn't. I think we need to have that Scouse heartbeat in the club. For once, I'm excited about this transfer window, said Michael Spigarolo. Oh, dude, so am I. Excited is probably an understatement. But what I did realise today, Michael, and my own stupidity kind of probably just forgot about it, is we still have June, July, and August to get through. It's like 3 months, basically, of a window. I know it's closed at the minute for 6 days, but I feel like we're all going to be exhausted by the time the transfer window comes to a close. And I hope Liverpool can get most of our business, certainly with incomings, done early doors. Why isn't Wirtz official yet? And any Kerkez news? So Wirtz isn't official yet because he's on holiday. That was put out there into the world today and yesterday. It will happen. And what was the second part? Kerkez news. Well, he dropped a big hint today. Did you not see him posting with a picture by the pool of his legs in a pool? Exactly the same as the Florian Wirtz post. So, look, they will be done. Bournemouth staff, and some of them had a pre-season or an end-of-season trip over to America. So I think Richard Hughes, from what I'm reading, is negotiating back and forth with his Bournemouth counterpart. I just don't know when we're going to get the official nod that a fee has been agreed there. I don't know. All I ever knew and all I ever said to you guys was Frimpong, Kerkez, Wirtz will be Liverpool players. They absolutely all have laser focus on becoming Liverpool players and have made it clear that's what they want. So you've nothing to be concerned about, but of course, we all want to see the pictures. We all want to see Wirtz come in for his medical. We all want to hear the here we go, or the Joyce Bomba, or whatever you want for the deal with Kerkez as well. But nothing as of right now. PSG are training near your area. Nice one, Crispy Sesh. That's class. Any chance you can go get a little look and watch some training around? That's brilliant. Fair play. David Massett said, I say no to selling Jones because I'm a Scouser and it's the only Scouser left in the team. I get it. Like I said, David, 2 years ago, I would have absolutely been smashing the yes button for that sale. But now, no, I agree with you, my man. I want to keep him around. I want to keep that Scouse heartbeat in the team. And also, like I said, to be fair to Curtis, I think he has come on this season. And Arne Slot has definitely suited Curtis Jones' style of football a bit more. And again, we're probably going to lose Elliott, so don't want to be losing two creative midfielders or two attack-minded midfielders. This is mad, though. I swear to God, if I did this poll 2 years ago, we'd all be voting differently. Be honest with me, wouldn't you? If I did this poll 2 years ago, this would have been a very different outcome. We'd have all been like, sell, 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 sell. Are we watching the same Jones? Look, Chris, you're entitled to your opinion on him. I'm not saying he's the best player in the world. He wouldn't be in my starting 11 for Liverpool, but I do think he's done enough to prove that he deserves to be in the squad still, and that he can be trusted with some minutes. That I would say. Amir said, Craig, you want a DM even if we get one for cheap. Personally, I'm more than happy with Gravenberch and Endo. So, Amir, for me, the answer to that question, bro, comes down to the situation with Stefan Bajcetic. If Stefan is going to be the backup to those two gents you mentioned, happy days, no problem. Bring him in, keep him there at the squad, and let him play his part. But if the manager has any doubts, then I would like us to bring one in, because an injury to Gravenberch, and I think we're in trouble. Endo can play the role, but not play it in the same way the manager wants to, because he just doesn't have the ball retention. skills that Grafenberg would have. So I do think we could do with another one in there, but I'm more than happy for that to be Stefan Bajcetic. We're linked to Osimhen, according to some sources. Is it true? He's been linked. You're right about that, mate. Are we going to sign him? Not that I'm aware of. It looks like Galatasaray are pushing really hard to try and get a deal done with Napoli. The wages they feel like that they can cover for Osimhen, but they don't feel like they can get to the asking price that Napoli are looking for. Other than that, I don't really know too much more about the Osimhen situation. It wouldn't excite me though, I'll say that. He wouldn't excite me. The price tag for Ekitike doesn't excite me. I think it's too high for somebody who I would still have some question marks over. So for me, I want us to get a bona fide animal or weight, which is why I found the whole John Duran possibility interesting. Oma, how are we, sir? Thank you for the kind words. Craig, awesome channel as always. With so many rumours going around, what's the current outgoings? So my best guess will be, obviously, Kelleher's gone. Trent's gone. I think we sell Costas. I think we sell Kwanzaa. I'm still going to be on that one, by the way. And those stories are only heating up even more. I think in midfield, you will see Tyler Morton sold. Harvey Elliott sold. I think in attack, really don't know about Chiesa. Certainly can see a world where it does happen. We spoke about Real Betis last night as a possible option. Obviously, Italy is an option as well. Does Diaz move on? If he does, well, then how many forwards are we going to be letting go, in all honesty? Because, we don't want to leave ourselves short either. So, other potential outgoings, maybe some fringe players in the don't know what's going to happen with Owen Beck in his future. Don't know what's going to happen with the likes of McConnell. Don't know what's going to happen with Jayden Dans, as in, will he go on loan or will he be kept around with the first team? So they're the type of things that I'm not really sure about. Yaros, we've spoken about. It looks like he could have a year-long loan over to Ajax to meet back up with Johnny Heidinga, which again I think is sensible considering Liverpool have just brought in young Pecci as another young goalkeeper. We need squad depth also, especially competing in League Champions Leagues. So I don't think squad depth has been our problem in the past year or two. I think it's the quality of that squad depth that's let us down. Players who are coming in, and we're seeing a big drop off from the standard that the regular first 13 or 14 players would be able to produce. SDO, how are you, sir? Said, Craig, what do you think about Liverpool moving to a classic diamond formation with Wirtz at the top behind Gakpo and Salah? Absolutely no issues with that at all, mate. I think lots of us in the chat have had a similar thought process that maybe we see a false nine or, as you said, a dual rotating attacking player at the top of the diamond. So it's possible. And again, the versatility of bringing in somebody like Wirtz will give us these options. So it's a good shout, and I think we're all intrigued to see how it works out. I'd love to see Haddo come in, think he'd be class. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that situation, to be honest with you. Certainly gone very quiet, hasn't it? The only thing I remember about the Joel Haddo situation recently is, I think it was Romano, but one of the journalists said that it would be a difficult deal to get done. And also, if you're Johnny Heidinga and you're going into Ajax and, they've had such a heartbreak at the end of last season with the way they threw away the Eredivisie title, is he going to start wanting to be stripped down of players straight away? I don't know, but again, it's a good shout, and I've not seen anything new on his future. Maybe it's because I haven't been looking, but yeah, it's certainly one to keep an eye on. Clive said apparently Arsenal are looking at Hato now. Maybe, they need to get a striker in. That's all of their focus right now, should be getting a striker in. It looks like there could be a bit of a battle as well between Bayern Munich and Arsenal for Nico Williams, at least according to reports that were bouncing around earlier on. Red Hot Frank said Hato, Stiller and a striker would solidify this team. Yes. I still want the centre-back though, mate. I've got to be honest, I do. I really, really think we need to bring in a centre-back. Eman said, do you think us getting Wirtz for so much would affect how much Newcastle would ask for Isak if we even go for him? Well, no, really, because the asking price for Isak, even when people were unsure about the situation with the Champions League, has always been a very, very, very high one, an eye-watering one, like in excess of £120 million. So, no, I don't think it would make any difference. I think Newcastle would have a high valuation either way. I've done that one. Oh, if we got Haddo, our third kit better be orange. Yeah, we certainly are bringing in a lot of Dutch players, but thankfully a lot of the good Dutch players. Thank you, Acentino. I'm Colombian and do not recommend DURAN. He's very difficult to deal with. So am I wrong, Mr. Fonseca Herrera? Or did he have a fallout with your national team coach about something? I swear I read something about that. Now, look, I won't profess to be an expert on any level with Colombian football, but I think I did read something about a fallout with the national team manager and some drama in and around him. But Luis Diaz speaks very well of him and said he's a massive talent as well. But we do know Liverpool won't bring in any troublemakers. So, if there is any sense that his head's not in the right place or that he might be a destructive force in the changing room, absolutely don't think Liverpool would look into it. What will happen to Dom's game time? I think nothing. Honestly, I still think you're going to see Dominic Szoboszlai play 35, 40 games a season. We just need some creativity. Remember, we've lost it with Madrid's number 12. We've lost some creativity there. So we always knew the manager was going to need to bring some in. Wirtz is incredible at finding space between the lines. And I think what you're going to love about Wirtz as well is that he's going to, and by the way, I am going to come back to Szoboszlai, don't worry. I think he's going to win us a lot of possession higher up the pitch. And just look at some of the numbers from last season. So Dominic Szoboszlai played 49 games last season for Liverpool and had 17 goals and assists, which is not a bad output at all, but it's not amazing. Look at the numbers then for Florian Wirtz. He played 45 games and he had 31 goals and assists. Now, certainly different leagues, different environments, but I think let the lads battle it out. Let them convince the manager on the training ground. And like I always say, I just think competition for places can only be a good thing. Triller X, do you think Bradley Barcola is ready for the Premier League? Maybe, but I just don't think he's the right fit for us. Because remember, we get wound up sometimes with the lack of end product from Diaz, right? That's been one thing that there's been some complaints about from Liverpool fans. We all love his work rate and effort. But if we feel that way about him, I think we'll feel the similar way about Barcola because, for all his goals and assists, when I watch him, he certainly seems to leave a lot of opportunities on the table. Barcola for me, the new Henry. I just think he's wasteful. I do. I just think he's really wasteful. But there's no denying he's got electric feet and he can create chances. No denying that whatsoever. I just again wonder will we have enough end product if he was to come in. But again, got to reiterate, Paris Saint-Germain saying they're not selling him as well. So we can't keep relying on Salah brilliance. We need a striker. Well, we are trying to build up the attack, to be honest. Like, just brought in Wirtz, or going to bring in Wirtz. We're looking for a striker, but we also have to sell one. And again, the confirmation tonight from Romano said the decision has been made. Darwin Nunez will leave Liverpool this summer. It's just a matter of where now at this point. What were these two things that I didn't get a chance to go through? So, a couple of reports about Barcola. Let me read them out to you. So this piece here said Bradley Barcola's stock continues to rise across Europe, but Paris Saint-Germain have made their position clear. The French international is going nowhere this summer. Foot Mercado say Barcola is attracting interest from Bayern Munich and Liverpool, both clubs looking at the 22-year-old as a potential first-choice option for their attack. Another piece here said Liverpool plot big move for PSG star Bradley Barcola in summer rebuild. Liverpool's appetite for a transformative summer under Arne Slot, I don't know who the fuck Arne is, Arne Slot, shows no sign of slowing down. As reported by Caught Offside, the Reds are now seriously considering a move for the PSG player, one of La Liga's most one of League most exciting talents. 17 goals and 14 assists across all competitions in 24-25. Yeah, look, it's reported, but if PSG are saying they ain't selling, then I would imagine they ain't selling. We know that they're not going to be a club that's waiting for the money, let's say. So let's move on to our poll. We said, would you sell Jones to get the Wirtz free lower? Now I'm going to ask you about Barcola next. So let's end that because it's 65-35. So I think we can end the poll there and say, yes, you guys think that we should be keeping Curtis Jones. And I agree with you on that one. So let's ask about Barcola. Is he good enough? So the question is Barcola the right Diaz replacement? For me, like I've said before, I feel we'll revisit Anthony Gordon if we do sell Luis Diaz. I know that isn't what a lot of people want to hear, but I just have a feeling we're going to revisit that situation. And also, if we're going to see Nico Williams move this summer, I think we'd be fools not to be at least inquiring as to the numbers involved in the deal. Rather have cherry cola. No, mate, no. Cherry cola's horrible. I don't know how anyone drinks that stuff. Horrendous. Nick, how are you, Nick? The young Dutch strikers' well is dry. Weghorst and Depay are the two senior national team strikers. Watch Shaquille Van Persie for the future. Current Feyenoord Academy player could get promoted up. Is that the son of Robin? I don't know, Nick, to be honest. But yeah, there certainly is no immediate centre forward that you think of when you think of the Netherlands national team at the minute. Certainly is running a bit dry, as you've said. It is Robin's son, Andy. That's mad. It's crazy how many professional footballers' sons are coming through in the game these days. Yeah, interesting one. Nice. Appreciate that. Sure, look at even Jaden Dans, his dad, professional footballer. Kumas, his father, professional footballer. Is Wirtz 100% done now? Well, no, I can't say he's 100% done because he hasn't signed the contract. But is the agreement there? You've nothing to be concerned about. Every single journalist at this point is just saying he'll be done. It's just when the medical gets done. And so, you know, I can't say to you it's done because it isn't technically done because he hasn't done his medical and signed his contract. But he's only coming to Liverpool, and even the difference between what Ornstein said and what Romano said is kind of splitting hairs. Everybody agrees in the next few days you'll see him have his medical, so we'll just have to wait for those beautiful pictures. I think a maybe player isn't a bad thing. Slot has shown he can improve players, said Mav. Yeah, but it depends on the position. So I don't think we can afford a maybe striker. I think we have to bring in a top-notch striker. I think we could maybe afford a maybe winger, but I think we do have to get the next centre-forward one spot on. And again, I know a lot of people think Anthony Gordon wouldn't be good enough, but I don't know. There's something about him and Liverpool that I just think would work, especially if Gakpo stayed around and we have both options. Everton Fan TV, we absolutely know about the date and clock and all that, mate. It's down to Stream Elements, not us. Stream Elements is down, and they are the ones that update automatically our clock and all. So we're aware of it, but we just put up placeholder ones to make it look normal for this evening while Stream Elements is getting resolved. I take Nico Williams, but Gordon is more realistic, said Yusuf. I think Gordon gives us the homegrown, quota help there that we'd need. We know the player would absolutely love to come and play for Liverpool. We know Liverpool like him because we tried to do a deal to bring him in last summer. So I think with that, take into account the fact that Harvey Barnes seemingly getting more starts towards the end of the season for Newcastle, I just think it's a possible deal if Diaz does move on. But genuinely, I feel Liverpool are relaxed about the situation with Luis Diaz because it's kind of a win-win for us. You know, we've got a player who we know can perform well, who's on a reasonable wage, who still has 2 years left on his contract, at which time he'll be 31. So I totally can understand Liverpool saying, well, we either get the money that we want to make it worth our while, or he stays and sees out his deal. So I'm relaxed about it as well. I would like Diaz to stay. I love Diaz. I think most of us do. But if Barcelona come up with the money, then we do need to look at other avenues and other options for that left side. Nikhil said, Craig, which centre-back would you take from the current market? Also, what position is a priority right now? Centre-back or striker? I would say right now, centre-back, because we don't have enough of them, in my opinion. Like Darwin, it's a matter of getting in a replacement, so one out, one in. But for centre-back, I felt all season we're one shy of where we should be. You've got Gomez, who obviously has had some injury concerns. Kwanzaa, who really hasn't kicked on this season. And then we've got the two boys that we have. After that, we're shoehorning people into positions. Gravenberch, Endo. So I still think we need one anyway. If we were to lose a centre-back, I think we need two. So I would say, my man, for me, centre-back's bigger priority than centre-forward, because we need a body at centre-back. We might have a forward we're not happy with, but there is one there. Where's all the Galatasaray money coming from? You know what, my man? We were talking about this earlier on, and me and Connor were asking the same thing. I don't know is the honest answer. 2 meter Messi. Is he German? He is, yes. He's just, I think, got his first cap as well for the German national team recently. Nick Wolfmade. Don't know much about him, as you said, other than he's called a 2 meter Messi. Played for Stuttgart, I think, has a 42 million quid valuation, and has really good control and touch for a tall player. Schmungus. It's my birthday on the 27th. This month has been a treat. You've inspired me to go for a cookie pie for a cake. Nice. Enjoy. It's going to take some eating, though. I promise you, they're heavy things. But I believe in you, mate. I believe in you. And look, if you can't get through it all, I'm always here to help out. Is he actually 2 meter? No, he's a small bit under. I think he's like 1.92 or 1.97 or something like that. But that's his nickname. It's the 2 meter Messi. Gyökeres would flop in the Premier League, said Brian Atkinson. Did you see the furore, is that the right word, that's going on between him and Sporting? He's still trying to bite his tongue, but he's very much letting it be known that he's not happy, and that they're backtracking on what he believes was the agreement to let him go for below his release clause. I don't know, but let's keep an eye on the situation. But remember, United are now in the mix for Ekitike, so ooh, scary time. Thoughts on older players who could put in a shift that would be more grateful of sitting on the bench often? Could be a good avenue for centre-back or DM. Again, it depends on the environment. So do we have a lot of young players at the club that we need to balance out with an older player? Well, if you look at the centre-back situation, I don't think that's the case. I don't think we could afford an older player to come in. But if you were to bring in somebody, let's say, maybe as an option in midfield that Arne thought could do a job at, let's say, 31, 32 for a few years as Gravenberch cover, perhaps. But yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't strike me as something very Michael Edwardsy, if that makes sense, Nick. Endo's a great cover for CB and CDM. You see, I kind of disagree a bit. Endo can do a job in that position, but not in the same way the manager wants it to be played. So if Gravenberch isn't there, Endo can come in and play DM and play it very well, but not the way Arne wants the position to be played. So that's why I think we do have that issue. He's a great DM, and as you've mentioned, centre-back, but not in the way Arne wants to play, and that's the issue there. Gordon is probably one of the worst players I've witnessed play the game. Well, that has to be one of the most... Be kind, Craig. That's a very strange statement because, I don't know if you didn't watch the Europa League final, but there was 22 players out there who would fall into the category of far worse than Anthony Gordon. And I don't know if you're a young fella and haven't lived through Milan Jovanovic, Christian Poulsen, Paul Konchesky, Sean Dundee. So, you're viewing how good Anthony Gordon is a little bit skewed, in my opinion, sir. Tots Rocky. Wish me luck for my last exam tomorrow. Much love from Norway. All the luck in the world, my friend. I hope it goes well for you. Do let us know how you get on. But yeah, wishing you the best, sir. What about Ben Doak getting tried as a striker? He's not even wanted at the club. I said this 6 months ago, by the way. Ben Doak was always getting sold. I heard this directly from one of the local journalists. The plan has always been to sell him. So, whether that opens an avenue for a conversation with Everton about Jared Branthwaite down the line, I don't know. But they're certainly one of the clubs who are interested in him. I'm not saying, by the way, he isn't good enough to play for Liverpool, Ben Doak. I very much would like to have seen him get a chance as well. But he's not going to. And, unless something has drastically changed, the plan is that he will be sold. I know they're different positions, but would you rather Nunez or Keita in the Liverpool squad in their respective season? Probably Nunez, to be honest with you. Yeah, probably Nunez, because I know he's frustrating and all, but he always does create chances and opportunities. And it's never dull when he's around. But, for those two, I'd probably say Darwin. Andrew, I'm pretty much with you, sir. Andrew, is it Ilot? Said, at the end of the day, whoever Slot wants, all back. Come on, you Reds. I'm exactly like that, my friend. Exactly like that. I have preferences of players I'd love to see, but ultimately, like you've said, bro, whoever the manager wants, I'll get behind. What was this one? So, Matteo Moretto said AC Milan have asked for the information around a transfer for Darwin Nunez. Oh, I found one more thing really funny, by the way. Did you see the post on social media from somebody who I believe it certainly isn't a Liverpool fan? And they said Liverpool broke the record for a goalkeeper, broke the record for a centre-back, but Man City are the problem, eh? Trying to be sarcastic. Well, let me run you through the most money spent in this calendar year in the football world, shall we? And you don't need to take my word for this. This was posted by Sky Sports. Most money spent this calendar year in the Premier League. Brighton, £50 million. Liverpool, 3 transfers, £60 million. And we reckon those transfers, by the way, are Frimpong and the 2 goalkeepers that we brought in. Manchester United, 3 transfers, £92.1 million. Chelsea, 5 transfers, £101.5 million. And the team that are definitely not the problem with money, Manchester City, 10 transfers, £292.4 million. 10 transfers, £292.4 million. Yeah, City are definitely not the problem. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And again, it's never been about what City do now. It's about what they did to get them to the level they're at now. It's about what they did to move money around, move sponsorships around, pay managers some money in other bank accounts. All of the stuff that they've been accused of is the reason why people are blaming City in the financial situation, not because of where they at now. If we look at where they at now, yeah, they are established as a top team. But did they get there playing by the rules? My belief, absolutely not. And this has been my worry all the way through, is that people will become desensitized to what City have done to get to where they are because they've dragged it out this long. Make no mistake about it. They, I hope to God they get found guilty, because if they get away with these charges, honestly, I don't know if I can watch football anymore, because it doesn't mean rules don't apply anymore. I'm fed up of it. I'm fed up of time barred things. I'm fed up of people getting off on technicalities. You either fucking did or did something wrong. You did do it or you didn't do it, one or the other. And all this dragging it out and spending so much money on legal minds and trying to just basically bankrupt the Premier League. It's just the whole thing's just so grubby to me. I hate it all. Would you take 40 mil for Curtis Jones? I wouldn't sell him this summer. No, I wouldn't. I think your valuation's probably about right, in all honesty. But we had a poll on this earlier on, and we was like, nah, it would sell. So we asked, is Barcola the right Diaz replacement? So still time to vote on this one. It's relatively close, but if you haven't had your say, please do vote on it. We have to thank Klopp for the way he's transformed the club. I think he has been thanked, my friend. I think everybody is very grateful to Jurgen for the way he transformed the club. Yeah, I don't think there's any contention or any bones of contention with that one. I think we're all very happy with what Jurgen did and very grateful to him. MDS201 said, congratulations to Thomas Frank joining last season's most successful team in North London. Yep, absolutely. They won a trophy. Fair play to them. Would I take Mateta as a backup? Hand on heart, I haven't watched enough of him. It's an interesting character. He's got a lot about him. Certainly can score different types of goals. Certainly seems like a really good personality as well. I just don't know if he would work in our system or not. Like I've been really honest and said I still don't know what attributes Arna wants from a striker. Because, Darwin was at the club when he came in. Jota was at the club when he came in. Now that we're going to be going into the market shopping for one, I don't know what the attributes that Arna thinks are needed to complement the squad that we have. So really unsure about what centre forward to expect to come in. Romano just posted on Nunez exit. Well, Mark, Connor, feel free to send it in if you get a chance. Yeah, let's wait and see. Firmino 2.0 needed. Oh, I agree on that one. Thank you, Mark. I agree on that one, Darshan. Be ideal right now. Right, thank you, Mark, for that. Right, let me read this out to you. So, Darwin Nunez remains guaranteed exit Liverpool this summer with Saudi Pro League clubs keen since January. Understand Napoli also made contact in recent days with Nunez on the shortlist. More talks to follow soon. Darwin open to both Saudi and European options. Interesting. Yeah, I just want the saga to be over. I want him to be happy. Genuinely, I do. Like, I've no ill feeling towards Darwin other than I don't like the way he spoke about the club not playing him and why. But other than that, like any other player, massive respect to him and his family. Want them to go and enjoy their life. But for us, yeah, it'd be interesting to see what numbers we can bring in for Darwin Nunez. Andy, how are we, Andy? Said I want United to sign Mateta just so we can see Cunha Mateta. Cunha Mateta. No more. Well, would it be no more worries though, Andy, or would it be a lot more worries? Who knows? Would you value the Europa Cup over the FA Cup? Oh God, yes. 100% yes. I think a Europa League win absolutely trumps an FA Cup win without any shadow of a doubt. For me, the FA Cup is below the Carabao Cup, and I know I'm in the minority on this, by the way. Growing up, I've seen Liverpool really do well with the League Cup, and I've always loved the League Cup because of that. So, yeah, I would say put the Europa League above an FA Cup, definitely. Thoughts on João Pedro from Brighton and Calvin Bassey from Fulham, said Foot Genie. Yeah, somebody in the chat yesterday, my man, brought up Calvin Bassey, and I thought it was a very interesting show. Kind of coincidentally, I seen some pieces on him at the end of last season, about his progression through and stuff. And he's certainly done really well. And I've seen some good work. I don't know if it was a match of the day 2 or something. They were covering Calvin Bassey. Definitely an underrated centre back. So good shout on that one. And the other one you said was, here we go, João Pedro. I don't mind João Pedro for the right number. A number of about 40, 50 million pound, I think João Pedro is a realistic number. He's a player that Liverpool have been reportedly tracking for a while, and a player that I think Newcastle have looked at recently as well. See, I never know, Star Player, if that's a real post from you or if somebody's trying to bait me into saying a funny name, so I'm going to just gloss over it. A rare Craig L with the FA Cup comments. I can only speak from my own opinion, mate, A European final is a European final, and I think, you get to play more interesting games on the way. FA Cup for me, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm Irish, and, if I was English, maybe the Football Association Cup would mean more to me, but I just love the League Cup, and I've seen Liverpool do very well with it throughout my lifetime. Oh, the Senegalese player is legit grand, and I can go back up. No, I haven't seen anything about him, mate. Sidi Barama, you said. No, not seen anything about him. So I'll have to pass on that one. Although I did find it funny that we drew with Senegal and they went over and beat England at Wembley, and England trounced us earlier on. So yeah. Wood said I would like to have Kudus, but the midfield is stacked. I just think. Well, they have lowered the asking price, to be fair, for Mo Kudus. It isn't still the £85 million release clause. Jacko, how are you, mate? I'm good. I'm really tired. To be honest, it's been an absolutely hectic last few weeks, but yeah, I'm good, my man. How could I not be with the direction we're heading in as a football club at the minute? Would you rather have Gordon or Barcola? I think Barcola has the possibility to be a better footballer than Anthony Gordon. A lot of the things that lean me towards liking the idea of us bringing in Anthony Gordon is the homegrown aspect, and I will admit that him being a Liverpool fan does carry a bit of weight with me as well. But Barcola, I think, if you're saying which one of them could become the better player, I think I'd probably go with Barcola. But I think for us, the more likely signing, certainly more likely signing, is Anthony Gordon. Can you catch me up on the Wirtz news? Yeah, he's on holiday. End of Wirtz news. Genuinely, Coleman, that's about it at the minute. He's on holiday, and there are some people saying Sunday, Monday, and Thursday, Friday for Liverpool medicals and media stuff for deals, but as of right now, that's where we're at. The man's on holiday, and then that can change at any moment. Remember, he can jump on a plane, come over to Manchester, Blackpool, Liverpool, whatever, do his medical and media stuff, and jet back out on holidays. But that's kind of where we're at the minute. What was the Kerkez hint? Him posting the exact same type picture of his legs and a pool on a holiday photo. Same as Wirtz. And again, it's very transparently the same scenario. We wondered when Wirtz posted it, we were like, oh, is that a clue? Is that a hint? And it was. And then we've seen Kerkez post the same thing. So, I found it funny when I seen that today. First thing I thought of immediately was, the lads doing a Wirtz. What do you think of Brighton signing an 18-year-old for 30 million? Yeah, the guy from Olympiacos. Look, Brighton don't really get a lot of transfers wrong, do they? I think it's a record for Brighton, if I'm not mistaken. It's a record fee for a Greek player. We went through it the other day. He did one full season there, I think, with the Olympiacos first team, won the league. they obviously feel that the kid is something special. So I look forward to somebody buying him off them for 120 million quid in a couple of seasons. How do I feel about Trent and his Manuel impression? I feel like Paddy Pimblett was spot on in that Trent's been learning Spanish for a very long time. I never doubted that he'd made his mind up a long time. I've said it for months on end. People want to think the best of others, and I get that as well. But I'm a cynical old man, and I think I've always felt like he'd made his mind up, and he was just dragging it out, and eventually he was heading off. So to see him speak the Spanish as well as he did, yeah, certainly don't think he learned it in a few weeks or a month or two. He's won the UEFA Youth Champions League with Olympiacos as well. Nice, yeah. They definitely know how to spot a talent, don't they? No doubt about that. Who would you like to sign for Liverpool to get the striker position? My dream signing would be Julian Alvarez. I'd love Isak as well. After that, I don't know, the options kind of dry up a little bit then. Then you're into, well, at least people I'm not as familiar with, like Ekitike. I just don't see 100 million value there. So, yeah. Look, the DURAN idea is intriguing to me for a loan for a year while Liverpool have a look and see what's happening. So, is Barcola the right Diaz replacement? We asked, and we've heading towards 2,000 votes. We've about 150 to go. So, if you can, do vote for us. And also, only need 36 likes to go to get us up to the 1,000. So, if you haven't hit the like button, please do, ladies and gents. Couple of shameless plugs as well here. Our Cork show is coming up on the 8th of August. If you want to come to our last Irish show, you can get your tickets with the QR code on the screen there or in the description of this stream. And also our WhatsApp channel. If you want to join the Anfield Agenda WhatsApp channel, we were at about 4,500 just before we went live. So we put in lots of polls there today, a few insights into the transfer market and a few other bits and pieces. Scan that QR code on the screen or, again, link in the description. I'm sad we didn't get many Chiesa chances. Might be the only season we see him. Same, Coleman, same, mate. I would have loved. I was really excited when we signed Chiesa, especially for the amount we did, and was very hopeful that we seen more of him than we got to see. But I do totally understand, with it being a World Cup year as well, that maybe he would want to get back playing regular football to get into that Italian team if they make it to the World Cup. So yeah, I get it. It's an unfortunate one, definitely. You know, Liverpool fans were all looking forward to it and all wanted to see more of Federico Chiesa, definitely. Craig, John Duran on loan or Isak/Osimhen? They would obviously cost a bit more. I've no interest in Victor Osimhen at Liverpool, Mike, personally. Isak absolutely would love, without a shadow of a doubt. But you have to admit, you'd have concern about, would he be available at the business end of the season when you need him? Because he does seem to pick up some injuries. But yeah, Duran on loan would be interesting if Liverpool couldn't get the target they want, because it buys us a bit of time. But after that, I think Isak would definitely be exciting. Canade posted about next season. Any contract updates? No, there was the last thing I'd seen posted from the journalists around Canade was that talks had resumed at the end of May. I think the Echo posted something about that. That talks with Canade's camp had resumed at the end of May. You know, he said he's looking forward to next season in his post, like you've said. Yep, but again, does that mean he's not going to sign a new deal and leave in a year? It doesn't really give us any indication of exactly what's happening, but we all hope Ibu stays. Do you have any concerns regarding Wirtz with previous ACL being won? Well, he did that when he was it 17 that he did his ACL? I know he was young when he did it. I think he's proven since he's come back from that, what he's about and what level he can get to. Do I have concerns about him? Sure, yeah, you would always have some concerns. How quickly will he settle in, as an example? Will he be able to replicate the same type of numbers in the Premier League? But In the long term, no. I've no doubts about him. I think he's going to be an incredible player. It's just a matter of will he need that season to settle in, or will he hit the ground running? Other than that, no, I don't really have any. Price tag, look, I can't sit here and say I want Liverpool to act like a big club and then give out about the numbers when they do. They paid or they're going to pay what it's going to take, and fair play for getting them in. But no, I don't really have any concerns about them. Just looking forward to it all. Osherman sounds like a good idea. No? I don't know. Again, I can only tell you how I feel about it, and I wouldn't be massively blown away by the idea of signing Victor Osimhen. But if Arne Slot wants Victor Osimhen, then I will sit here and welcome Victor Osimhen if he comes to the club and get right behind him. But it looks like Galatasaray are the ones pushing at the minute for him. They can't agree that fee with Napoli. They can cover his wages, they say, but they can't get to the number Napoli wants. The deal is there for anyone to do in the Premier League or in Europe if they want to get Victor Osimhen. Could Dan's play this season? I feel he was very good when he filled in. You have to send him out on loan, I think, Peter, because he needs to get he needs to prove that his body can stand up to the rigours of a full season as well. He's missed a lot of football. So I think the prudent thing for us to do here would be to send him out on loan, as he's got to get minutes in his legs. And if he could go to Sunderland, if that loan could be done again for next season, I think that would be brilliant. DURAN as a signing is too much of an ordinary world deal and a bit of a reflex. It would be a short-term fix if you couldn't get the Ewok kebab. Sorry, it'd be a short-term fix, mate, if you couldn't get the one that you want. You know, so I want us to solve it this summer, but I don't want Arne feeling like he's settling for somebody he's not absolutely convinced by. I have a feeling we're going to see a bit of Michael Edwards magic over the striker situation. I really just do feel like he's going to pull a deal, him and Richard Hughes, out of their backside that we're going to be blown away by. Just a gut feeling. Craig, how did City get 4 players for the Club World Cup? I've answered this question loads of times, mate. It was a misinterpretation from lots of us about the rules of the Club World Cup and that mini window. So, long story short, there was no cap on the amount of players you can sign in the first window. There was a cap to some registration period inside the Club World Cup, but again, it got too dizzily complicated for me. But they didn't do anything wrong in that regard. Would I prefer Sesko or Hugo Ekitike? I'm a bit wary of answering this in case one ends up at another club. Hand on heart, right now, I'd feel more comfortable with Sesko because I've seen more of him. So I would say Benjamin Sesko would be the one I'd be happier with, but that's not to say it's the right answer. You know, I just haven't seen as much of Hugo Ekitike. So yeah, for me, I've seen enough of Sesko to think he'd be a good player. Hugo, I just don't know enough about. And like I said, I'll always be honest, even though I know Sesko's most likely going to end up in an Arsenal shirt and there is a chance we sign Hugo Ekitike, but I'll only ever give you an honest answer. Jonathan David would be unbelievable. It's really weird that nobody's been able to sort out the deal for him yet. And Napoli looked at it, and from what I was reading, his wages or his wage demands were too high for Napoli. Certainly, you would imagine somebody would be looking there for a player who's out of contract in 18 days, player with Champions League experience, a player who certainly knows where the net is. You know, is he good enough for us? Don't know, but it's a good option for someone. Did you see Big Ivan's latest update? No, I haven't seen Mr. Shrakov's latest post. Jonathan David's getting a lot of attention from Saudi. I can only imagine with no transfer fee there, the signing on fee and wages that he'd be able to garner over there. But again, it's about where you are at this point of your career. Do you want to be going over to Saudi for money, or do you want to try and stay in Europe and win trophies? You know, no judgment for me, whichever one. But yeah, let's wait and see. Craig, where do you think Salah will rank for the Ballon d'Or? Probably top 3. Yeah, probably third would be my guess right now. Right, so we've gone past 2,000 votes. We said, is Barcola the right Diaz replacement? 53% said no. 47% said yes. So thank you to everyone that took part in that poll. Who's your realistic dream signing after Wirtz Kerkez? See, what's realistic? Branthwaite would probably be my answer because I think he'd be incredible. But is that realistic? Probably not. In striker, Alvarez would be my dream answer. But again, is he realistic? Probably not. So they'd be the two, though. In all honesty, I can't lie. The more I've looked into Angelo Stiller as well, the more I'd be upbeat if we managed to get him in midfield. He looks like a proper player. Ryan said Gonçalo Ramos for Liverpool. Well, it does look like he could be allowed to leave PSG this summer. And there have been some reports. I don't know if it was Anfield Watch, maybe, that wrote the piece saying that Liverpool were keeping an eye on Ramos. Yeah, look, he was doing huge numbers at Benfica. Then obviously went to PSG, and under Enrique, his minutes have been less than he would want them to be. So, yeah, let's wait and see. Like, as I said, I don't know the answer. I don't know who Liverpool want through the centre. So, you know, all I can do is respond to the names you guys give up with an opinion. Not that I'm aware of, no. I think he's too old for Liverpool to sign, if I'm being really honest with you, which sounds nuts because he's, 26, 27? But I don't believe they're true. But again, that doesn't mean they're not true. Not one I've heard of personally. But again, I'm not sitting here trying to tell you I know every Liverpool transfer. I absolutely don't. Openda would be class, said Jordan Peter Lee Jones. A few people have mentioned Lewis Openda's name in recent years, and again, it's an interesting shout. Who would you like to bring in at centre-back? Branthwaite. Would love him. I would have loved Dean Huijsen, and I'm never going to deny that I wanted him. I really did want him at Liverpool. After him, Branthwaite would be the next one on my list, but I don't think there's any chance of that happening. We need another Firmino. We do. Maybe Wirtz will be that Firmino. Maybe he will be the false 9. I don't know. Again, there's a lot of uncertainty about how we're going to set up next season, you know, particularly with, are we going to have a false 9? Are we going to go in for there's no point in us going getting a striker if we've any ambitions to play a false 9. So all will come clear, I guess, in the transfer market. Would I sign Pele? I wouldn't, but probably room for him in the MLS again. Inter Miami probably sign him. David said, just my opinion, Craig, I don't rate Branthwaite. No problem. Absolutely. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, David. I very much do rate Branthwaite. But, you know, each to their own. Window is closed anyway. It isn't. It isn't. Like, it's closed. If we're putting semantics on it, yeah, it's closed, but it's open on Monday. So, ultimately, at this point, if you were to get the medicals done and then the media duty done, sure, it's nearly time for the window to be open, and you can sign a contract at any point. It just can't be registered until Monday. Would Liao be a good signing? I think no. I don't think he'd work hard enough. I don't think he'd do the defensive and dirty work that Arna would want, and for that reason, I just don't think he'd be a good fit. The Scouts report said DURAN news. So, it all kind of came, mate, from an opinion piece that I was reading earlier on. Well, no, that's a lie to you. That's a lie to you, Scouts report. It all comes from, initially, somebody in our chat said the other day, a few of my mates over in Saudi who are over there working have said there's some chatter that John Duran could be an option for Liverpool. I kind of didn't think too much of it, right? Because I don't follow Saudi football. So then I was reading the Echo today, and there was an opinion piece on there, and I do have to stress it was an opinion piece. And one part of it kind of piqued my interest. They said, according to Saudi Arabian sports channel Al Rida Al Nasser striker John Duran may be looking for a temporary means of escape from the Gulf state ahead of the 2025-26 season. They cite personal difficulties that have impacted his mental well-being and, by extension, his form. And the piece went on to say that if Liverpool can't get their number one target, whoever that may be, as a striker this year, that biding our time and maybe bringing him in on loan wouldn't be the worst idea in the world. And I have to say I agree with it. Only if we can't get the number one target, though. You know, if Arna has a target and he wants him, go get him. But it's interesting because, you know, he's a very good player. He was doing numbers at Villa. You know, some people, we've had Colombian people in the chat who said a bit of an attitude issue and whatnot. So, you know, take it with a pinch of salt. But if he is going to be loaned out for a year until maybe he can get a move somewhere, if it doesn't work out for us with whoever we're looking for, it's an interesting show. Bowen would be a good backup for Salah and a false nine. Just too old. You know, you're not going to pay the type of money West Ham would want for, what is he, 29-year-old Jared Bowen now? But look, I've always been a big fan of his, Mark. I think he's tailor-made for Liverpool. You know, he's a bit old now, but I would have bitten your hand off to sign him 2-3 years ago. Would I take Sorloth, the Atleti striker? Again, I can't really answer because I don't know what Arne Slot is looking for in a striker. Does he want pace in behind? Does he want a hold-up man? Does he want somebody that can run the channels? Does he want somebody who can create space for others? Does he want somebody who can drop a little bit deep then and have people run in behind? I don't know. So I don't know what the parameters are for the type of striker we're looking at. Thank you, Alex. Let me just get this comment up on screen, bro. There you go. I hope you're having an amazing day. It's not too bad, my man. It's not too bad. I'll be a little bit happier once we get the Wirtz images that he's coming for his medical properly and we can finally see him at AXA. And again, if we get a breakthrough in the Kerkez story, that'd be great as well. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say goodnight to you. My plan is to be here tomorrow, 8:45, and take Saturday off. But you know what that means, right? It means we're going to see Wirtz come in on Saturday. So the plan is no live stream on Saturday, but I will be here tomorrow night. Also, again, last shout, if you haven't joined our WhatsApp channel, scan that QR code there on the screen and you can join the other 4,500 legends that have joined us over the first week. We do appreciate your support, and we've got a few bits and pieces that are interesting in there, including a first look at a website that we're building. So if you're in the WhatsApp, appreciate you. And again, tomorrow I will see you guys for another show, but we'll have a news video and a roundup coming up in the next 20 minutes or so, as always. So if you didn't manage to catch a lot of the show tonight, don't worry, I'll keep you up to date with what's happened over the past day with an update in about 20 minutes. Much love, my friends. Thank you for your support as always. Have yourselves a lovely Thursday.